Hi, welcome to VideoMathLessons.com. This is Algebra 2 and Trigonometry quick lesson. This is lesson number 2, quadratics, completing the square. Well, this year what you learned was how to, in the past you learned how to factor to solve for roots. This year or last year you learned how to do the quadratic formula. And now we're going to do one more step, which is called completing the square. Now this problem can easily be done with the quadratic formula. So we're practicing completing the square, so we're going to solve it by completing the square. So let's take a look and get started here. So now I'm going to take the original problem. So it's x squared minus 4x. Now the trick is you want the x's on one side and you want to move the regular number to the other side. So I have x squared minus 4x equals negative 9. Now what I'm going to do is, this is how I do it. And it depends on who your teacher is. There's different methods. I take half the middle number. So half the negative 4. So it's x, half the middle is minus 2. And this is what I'm going to square. Now, let's take a look at this for a second. Now, if I square x minus 2 and I do it twice, x minus 2, x minus 2, when I FOIL this out, I get x squared minus 4x plus a 4. This is not x squared minus 4x plus 4. It's missing the 4. That is why when we do these problems, you're going to add whatever this is squared, this back number squared, to both sides. It's always a plus. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So now when I say x minus 2 squared, now this is true, and it bounces out to be a negative 5 over here. To solve this, what we do is take the square root of both sides, so it's going to be x minus 2 equals square root negative 5. Now the trick is with these problems when completing the square, you must put the plus minus just like the quadratic formula has on the outside. Now I can do square root of negative 5. Square root of negative 5 is, if you recall, square root of negative 1 radical 5. And once again, it depends on who your teacher is, how you did it. So it's plus minus. The square root of negative 1 by definition is I. So it's plus minus I rad 5. I is the imaginary number, by definition, square root of negative 1. And we have this, x minus 2. So finally, let's clean this up. I'm going to bring the 2 over to both sides. So we get x equals 2 plus minus I rad 5, which is choice 1. Okay, that's a pretty good one. Let's try it again. Now this one says flat out you must complete the square, and actually on Algebra 2 regions certain questions will tell you explicitly to do the complete the square. Now the only issue is I can't complete the square with a lead coefficient. So what you have to do is whatever this lead coefficient is, you will divide through by it. So if I take this, let me rewrite this as 2x squared minus 12x plus 4 equals 0. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide everything by the lead coefficient. The lead coefficient is the coefficient out in front of the x squared. And what this does is it cleans up a little bit. So it's x squared minus 6x plus a 2 equals 0. And now we're going to just do everything that we did on the last problem. All right, ready? So we're going to move over the regular number. So x squared, we're going to move over this, the constant, which is be a negative 2 when I move it over. I'm going to take half the middle number, so it's x minus 3. But if I put a square here, these two things don't balance out. So I'm going to square the negative 3, I get plus a 9. It's always positive. So now 9 take away 2 is 7. To solve for x now, we need to take the square root of both sides, square root. So it's x minus 3 equals plus minus rad 7. Don't forget the plus minus. And then finally, to solve this, bring the 3 over. So we get x equals 3 plus minus rad 7. And that's how you that's how you complete the square with a coefficient out in front. And once again, when they say solve, they mean just get the roots. So you would get the exact same answer by quadratic formula. Now, what's to stop somebody from just doing a quadratic formula and getting this if it was a multiple choice question? Well, look how they word the multiple choice question. Now, they give us this problem, x squared plus 2 equals 6x. They want you to solve it by completing the square. They want to know what step would be in the middle of the problem, or which of these is in the problem somewhere. So that's how they do it. So if we take a look at the original, so I have x squared plus 2 equals 6x. These are backwards. I need the x's on one side, regular number on the other. So I'm going to just swap places with these two guys. And we do by inverse operation, so it's going to be subtracting them. So it'll be minus 6x. And I always leave a little bit of space right here. Negative 2. And what I want to do is I'm going to parentheses. It's going to be something like this. So it's x minus, and it's minus because there's a minus sign here. All right? Minus, now let's think about this. So it'd be half the middle is 3. If I square it, it's a 9, plus a 9. 9 take away 2 is 7. Now, I can keep going with this, right? We could do all these steps that we just did, right? Keep on going. Except, hey, take a look at that. It's the same exact question. So I could solve this, but all I care about is what's the intermediate step. I see this step is really choice 2. So that's as far as I'm going. Now look at this one. I got extra parts. And if you take a look at all these things down here, all the answers, you should recognize these are circles. These are all circle problems. The center on x and y, and this square root, the back would be the radius. So what they really want us to do is write the equation of the circle pretty much in standard form. Now I call it double complete the square. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the x's with x's, y's with y's, regular number to the other side. So let's try it. X's with x's. Put the y's with y's. Notice I'm going to leave a little space. Equals, now the regular number. When I move a 3 over, it turns to a negative 3. Now we're going to do this problem just like before. I'm going to do x's with x's. So I'm just going to do the x's first. So let's just take care of the x's first. So I put an x, now so this is minus, keep the minus. Half of 2 is a 1. You square the negative 1, and when you square it, it's always plus. So add 1 to both sides. Now let's do the y's. Now there's a plus sign here, we'll keep this plus. So it's half the middle, so it's half of 3, so it's y plus 3. This time it's a plus sign because this was a plus sign. I'm going to square it. When you square it, it's always positive. It would be plus a 9. And what I got to do is I got to do this side now. I'm going to add all this up. So 9 and 1 is 10. Take away 3 is 7. So my equation is x minus 1 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 7. Look up top, find the choice. Choice number 2. Just as a recap, what you need to know also is what would be the center and radius. You know, it could have easily have asked this. What's the center and radius? And when you do this, you got to do opposites. So what's the opposite of negative 1 plus 3? It'd be positive 1, negative 3. That's the center. Square, and the radius is the square root, so the radius would be 7. They didn't ask all that. They just wanted this. But you should be able to do the rest. Oh, that's it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully this helped. This is Video Math Lessons. Feel free to hit up the website to see if anything else is going on. Thank you.